Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and I'm going to do a quick and hopefully not too shaky video walk around here of this 2018 Jaguar F-Pace. And if it seems a little bit weird to contemplate a Jaguar crossover SUV, I think it's even weirder to contemplate a Porsche crossover SUV. Of course, Porsche was the first brand that formerly specialized only in high-performance coupes, sports cars, and so on, to jump into the high-performance crossover SUV market with the Cayenne, which everybody kind of mocked at first, but which proved to be a great success for them, because the fact of the matter is that some people need more than two seats, and they need the ability to carry stuff, and they need the ability to be able to go out when it snows. So Jaguar is basically just doing the same thing that Porsche did by offering a vehicle like this to give its customers something that they can get to work in when it snows. They also give you something else that Porsche no longer gives you. Porsche, being part of the VW family, has had to pull the diesel engine from the Cayenne, and the Macan is gas engined only. The Macan is smaller and direct rival of this thing, and will likely not ever get a diesel engine because of the Dieselgate fiasco. So there's that. Also, you can get two gas engines in this thing. You can get a new, for 2018, turbocharged 2-liter gas 4, or a supercharged V6 in two states of trim, either 340 or 380 horsepower. Personally, though, I really dig the diesel, and the one they sent me is diesel powered, and I'll tell you why. Not so much because it gets decent fuel economy. I mean, after all, who cares when you're talking about a vehicle that's almost $50,000. The sticker for this is about $47K, and by the way, for reference, that's still about $1,500 less than the base engine version of the Porsche Macan, so that's pretty cool. But the point is, with the diesel engine, you've got pretty serious legs. This thing will go nearly 600 miles on the highway, and there is not another high-performance prestige brand crossover SUV out there that can do that. In fact, there are no other vehicles in this class that offer a diesel anymore, probably because of some of the radioactive fallout of Dieselgate. It's not just Porsche. BMW has pulled the diesel engine from the X3, which is a bit larger than this, so that's going to be gas engine only beginning next year. And Mercedes has likewise decided that it's going to pull out of the diesel market in the US too. So both of its current SUVs will henceforth be gas engine only. So if you want a diesel engine, you want the long highway legs, you want the towing power, and the general operating characteristics that come with a diesel, here you go. This is pretty much the only game in town. It's also a pretty good looking game. I got to give these guys credit for taking a vehicle that is inherently not sexy. Let's face it, a crossover SUV is more or less a somewhat sleeker looking minivan, and the idea is to make it functional and practical. And functional and practical are usually big time enemies of sexiness, which of course Jaguar specialized in from the beginning. Some of you who are car people might remember gorgeous Jags of the past like the E-Type and then the XJ of the 70s and the 80s. One of my favorite shows when I was a kid was The Equalizer. The guy drove a Jaguar XJ. He was kind of like an 80s version of Ray Donovan. He took care of problems for you. Well, now he can take care of problems in the snow, and he's got more room in the back for whatever needs to be carried. They've also done a really nice job of integrating some of the coupe and sedan styling elements of other Jags into this thing. You might be able to notice this camera's better than my old camera, the kind of cool little hood bulge that this thing has. And the face is very similar too. And from the side, I like that they cut the roof line down, raised up the door height. I think it looks really sharp. The only downside is the rear window is really steeply sloped. Let me give you a sense of the angle of that. Look at that angle, and see how tight it is? Very small piece of glass, and then you've got the spoiler on the back. So I don't know, how much is this? What do you think? Maybe It's about a foot. You've got about a foot worth of rear glass here, and it's really steeply raked, so that when you're in the car here, I'll see if I can show it to you. From this perspective, it's like a tunnel. There's a tunnel back there, and making matters worse, now this is not Jaguar's fault, are these anti-whiplash headrests that have been mandated for your safety by the federal government. So that obscures the peripheral vision to the left and the right even further. That's pretty much the only thing that I can find to kvetch about when it comes to this this new F-Pace. I think it's an attractive vehicle. I like the diesel engine. I like the fact that you can get two different types of gas engines, which nobody else offers. You get your pick of turbo or supercharged. How cool is that? And believe it or not, the thing actually handles really well. They've done, in particular, a good job of tamping down the rebound. That was one of the things that I noticed when I was driving it around. If you hit a dip in the road, for example, the usual car will bounce up, or if it's really tightly sprung, it'll cinch down and your kidneys will get jostled. And what Jaguar has done, and I'm not quite sure exactly how they've done it, I have to get into the technical specs. When the vehicle dips down into a dip, it comes up, but it's sort of like it's on a dampened spring. It kind of goes up, and it sort of just remains there with the shock not being transmitted to the interior of the car. Very stable car for an SUV with 8.3 inches of ground clearance, which for reference is more than twice the ground clearance of the current F-Type and the current XJ. So unlike those two, which are gorgeous cars, you don't want to take those two out when it snows. This thing you can take out when it snows, which means that for somebody like me who lives out here in the boonies, a vehicle like this actually makes some kind of plausible sense. In particular, when you can get it with the diesel engine, which, by the way, tows about close to 5,300 pounds, which is more than the gas engine Macan can pull. Anyway, I'll have the review up shortly at epautos.com, and there's also a fresh rant up there for those of you who are interested in the political side of things. About the Sierra Club, National Resources Defense Council, and some other groups that are suing the federal government, the Trump administration, for holding back on the previous Obama administration's last-minute decision to try to jack up the corporate average fuel economy gas guzzler fines on cars that don't meet the CAFE mileage mandatory minimums. And my question about that is, why is the government in any way, shape, or form dictating and punishing fuel efficiency? You buy the car, you paid for it, you pay for the gas. It's not like there aren't fuel-efficient cars out there on the market. People are free to choose. My problem with it is that these people want to force everybody to drive a tiny little car that gets 50 miles per gallon, or a hybrid or an electric car, and that's outrageous. It's none of their business. Anyway, check that out up at epautos.com, and I should have the review of this thing, the full review of this thing, up in the next little bit. So thanks for viewing, and we'll catch up with you again soon.